Hi everyone, hope you're all well. I want to talk about um, finding out who you actually are underneath all the things that you've been taught, that how you've grown up, and what influences others have had on you. And so everything that we go through in life has an influence. And especially when we're kids, we're like sponges. And if adults, our parents, teachers, older sisters or brothers, friends, everyone that we somehow look up to, if they say something about something or about us, we tend to believe them because we think, and we've been taught, that these people have our best interest at heart. And that's not necessarily so. But when you're 5 or 4 or 8 or even 12 or 15 or 22, it doesn't matter. Because if we look up to somebody and this is why they pay actors and singers so much, because they have influence over us, right? Because we idolize them. It doesn't have to be right? But we look up to these people, and so we take on board what they say. Oh, wow, he or she's like a really great person. I really, I admire this person. And so we take whatever they say on board. So the person that tells you these things, what's their agenda? Are they actually looking out for you, having your best interest at heart? Or are they skilled manipulators, right? Or have they been paid off to tell you something that is untrue in order to steer your behaviour and thought process in a way that benefits someone else? Big question. So it's important, and I'm obviously not speaking to children here in this video, but in saying that, I'm speaking to adults who have children. I don't have children, but when I'm around children, they absolutely congregate, because I must admit a really safe frequency. I used to teach kids anything from, I don't know how old the youngest was, maybe 6, all the way up to 18 years at a big riding school. And I used to have, because I used to do high-level dressage and competing and teaching and training high-level dressage horses for donkey's years. And so I, for quite a long time, I instructed at a big riding school. And it was amazing to teach kids in that way. And when I eventually left, they were all in tears, which was really quite awful. I had the parents call me up, and anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. Call me up to see if I was doing it somewhere else. But I'm obviously speaking to parents that be mindful what you say to your children and what it is that you do in your daily life, that not with words but with body language, by behaviour, your behaviour tells your child that something is okay and some things are not okay. Like I'm going to talk about how I grew up. My mother accepted a lot of, not physical abuse, but mental abuse as far as control from my dad. And what effect did that have on us, 3 girls, right? And that taught us that accepting that control, and she told us numerous times that when she met Dad, and Dad, I'm not surprised that she shallowly fell in love with him, because he looked like Elvis. He looked like Elvis when he was young, right? And anyway, he said to my mother, and my mother told us this, he said to her, if you're going to be with me, you're going to have to think and do as I say. Oh, yes. And we were, this is a joke, right? Now it's a joke. And we said, oh, of course. And you said yes, right? You just entered and completely threw away your own strength and personality. So she laughs about it now, but there wasn't a joke, right? It wasn't a joke. She, out of the 32 years that they were married, oh my God, she was under so much stress and pressure that from that control. And by accepting that control, we as children thought, number one, that was love. Number two, that is something as a woman that you had to accept. And number three, that my mother wasn't allowed to work, right? She wasn't allowed to work. Why? Because my dad said so. And it just wasn't even mentioned. And I remember going off track here, but it's important. And I remember they went to see Dad's brother and his wife one night. And anyway, they drove off. 15 minutes later, they came back. And we went, oh, You obviously didn't get there. And Dad was furious, right? And Mum was like, she was like frightened. Anyway, so my mother had gathered up the strength to ask if he would consider going with her to a class reunion, right? She didn't ask if she could go by herself. She asked if he wanted to go with her to a class reunion. And oh my God, he was furious that she even had the guts to ask him. Why? You might ask. Because he could not control who she spoke to. And he had no idea what male classmates she had. And he wouldn't want her to be seen. And so why am I saying this? Because it is important to see in what environment children grow up in. And no words were spoken about this to us, right? Only later, because we started to question, right? Or at least I started to question. And I think out of all the girls, I was the one that goes, hang on a minute, why did that happen? I've got a memory like an elephant, right? And so it slowly came out. And the acceptance of my mother's acceptance of that abuse. She had no free will at all. She couldn't even ask for them together to go to an event where Dad did not have control. And other events that were family events, we didn't go to anything else apart from, we were very equestrian related, right? So apart from family events, and I remember we went to this family function. I have no idea what it was because it was this big, right? And as soon as the dinner was done, the music came out and the fun part started, we went home. We went home to feed the horses. Hang on a minute. We've already fed them. They're in bed, right? So the truth of the matter was that Dad did not want anyone to come anywhere near my mother. My mother was beautiful, right? And she still is. That could jeopardize her accepting a dance from another man, all right? Oh my God, my dad was so weak. My dad was so weak inside, portraying that he was so powerful. And so what did we girls learn from that behavior? No words. So be mindful of your behavior that instills beliefs in your children. Well, it's instilled control. And I'm the rebel. I'm the little black sheep that reared its ugly head out of the flock and goes, hang on a minute, what's going on? I'm the truth seeker. And I learned very early to see straight through all of this, even though there were layers and layers and layers of onion peels that had to come to the surface for me to understand the depth of these indoctrinated, learned behavior. So here I am talking about them so others can recognize them earlier than I did. So when we start to see patterns of thought process, patterns of behavior, patterns that people question about us, don't be afraid to look at those and go, why am I doing that? Why am I thinking about it this way? Why am I the only one who thinks this way and everybody else thinks another way? Is that because I've been taught something? Be open to receive information about how others see the same thing. It's very important not to be closed, but to be open and brave enough to look at yourself in order to recognize thought processes and behavioral patterns in your own day-to-day life. And so, and it doesn't matter how deep it goes, but be okay with the recognition and the realization that, oh, maybe I'm doing this because I've been believing that this behavior is okay. And go, is it okay? Or is that something that somebody taught me with words or with their behavior that was okay? And do I find that okay, that behavior okay now? And is that something that I should get rid of? Right? And the same as, do I live under the banner that men have control over me? No, I don't. Why do you as a man think that you've got more control over me than that I have over you? Right? It's everybody's equal. Just because you're a woman or a man in a different relationship, nobody has control over you as a person. You are your own person, and nobody, I don't care who it is, nobody has control over you. The only way that somebody can control you is if you allow them to control you. So my mother allowed my dad to control her, and she gave her power away. Why is that? I asked a question that I didn't ask. She obviously fell in love with him and thought he was handsome as shit and didn't recognize, or she was taught by her parents that women in that era were supposed to be housewives and not career orientated. And maybe that was fine for that era, but is your belief, and I'm going to just drop in and say here, and women who were rebels in that era was punished maybe, or looked upon as bad, or rebels, and not to be associated with because of their because of their thought process and their behaviour. And so you can look at the witches in their era. They were burnt at the stake because they wanted to remove the veil from others' eyes to see truth. Good luck anyone wanting to burn me at the stake, right? But the era has changed and you're not really allowed to burn anyone on the stake anymore but people do in other ways. They badmouth you and they portray you as crazy, and stay away from them because they will lead you astray with their conspiracy theories. Say no more. But it's interesting that we learn our behavior from others, because with kids, right, we learn from others, from school. The curriculum in schools, unless you take the route of Steiner school, it's a little bit more in line with truth. The school system, and this is common knowledge, so look it up, was created by the Rothschilds. Who are they? Well, they're the bankers. The world global banking system. And why did they change the curriculum in the schooling system? Is that they wanted to create workers that took instruction but didn't think for themselves. And that is the current schooling system. The indoctrination of your mind to be a worker, not to think for yourself, not to take the power from the self-elected elite. So how about we change the schooling system? I think it's about time to teach our children and the adult population, if they go back to school, that something else is closer to the truth. So don't be afraid to look at what you're carrying around. Don't be afraid to really focus in on your behaviour, your thought process, and what it is that you believe from somebody else. And dig deep to find who you truly are and bring forward your authentic self, because that is where your power lies, and that is where your authenticity will shine to be successful, to help others in their journey in life. So don't put a mask on. Don't hide your light for somebody else. Be powerful, and you are. Be powerful to bring out your authenticity and your light. And it's okay to unpeel those onion layers, to reveal and look at your behavior patterns. Because if you don't recognize them, if you ignore them, then you can't fix them, then you can't improve them. And if you don't like something about yourself that has been pressed upon you, taught, forced to believe about yourself, about the world, then look at that and go, well, hey, that's what I was told when I was 6, right? And children don't usually question. They may have a lot of questions, but they usually don't question. They question to a point, and then they go, well, you know better. So when we become older and realize that, hang on a minute, I am allowed to question this now, so I'm questioning it, and go deeper, and it's okay that to recognize that you've been taught a lot of shit, taught a lot of lies, taught a lot of behavioral issues as far as patterns. Recognize them and say, hey, that is what it is. I don't like it. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to release it. That's not mine. Where did I even get that from? Yeah? And change it. Improve yourself. Improve the way that you live your life. And because you've been taught something, that doesn't mean that you have to keep it. That doesn't mean that you have to, oh, that's who I am. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Figure out who you are authentically and in truth. Then live by that. Live your authenticity and not some belief that you were taught when you were 6. Interesting concept, and we all are different. Some, if you go on to the deeper level, if you find your authentic self, you might have been brought up in a household where, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have children? When are you going to settle down? Well, that's not who I am. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to travel the world. I want to be a monk. I want to be something. But I don't want to settle down. I don't have that maternal instinct. But my instinct was towards horses and dogs and nature and travel. My drawing was to teach. Your drawing might be having children, working in a school, teaching children, nurturing children. Some of you might be farmers, all right? Whether you're married and have children or not, it doesn't matter. Find what authentically inside you are drawn to and do that. Don't fit into a box that somebody else wants you to fit into. And I can't stress that enough. Your authentic gift is what the world needs. If we were all the same, heaven forbid, it would be a very disastrous world. And that's what they're trying to achieve with the schooling system. Yes, you can do English, you can do Japanese, you can do Chinese, you can do German. But as a whole, they want you to fit into a system. Break free of the system and see who you are on the soul level and be that. Be that. Because that is what the world needs. Don't be afraid to bring forward that authentic self. The world will flourish, and so will you. I'm going to leave it there. Long video again. I have a lot to talk about. Anyway, I will see you in the next one. Take care.